Hey there, this is Natalie, and we now have ReZero Arc 7, Chapter 15. I'm going to get straight into the chapter summary, but as always, please subscribe for coverage of all of the latest chapters of ReZero, as well as ReZero theories, analysis, and news. Arc 7, Chapter 15 is called Things I Want to Protect, and it begins with the party who set off from the Sudrak village at the end of Chapter 14 on their journey through the forest. Holy, one of the two Sudrak women accompanying Subaru, Rem and Louis, shoots and kills a black deer with her bow so they can have some meat. She suggests that they take a break, and Subaru, who's sweating from the challenge of carrying Rem on his back, says he doesn't need one. Rem mutters that he's stubborn. Subaru and Rem talk about siblings, with Subaru saying that because he's an only child, he has the qualities of both the carefully raised oldest son and the spoiled youngest son. Rem listens to him, and he begins to wonder if his parents have had another child while he's been away, which of course unsettles him. Rem then says she wonders if she had any siblings, and Subaru is shocked for a moment, saying it's the first time she's asked him about her memories. The conversation doesn't continue to him actually telling her about Ram yet, but instead to talking about how she's feeling somewhat more trusting towards him, and will ask him things he knows about her in time, but it will still be down to her whether she believes them. This is interrupted because Holy has finished skinning and preparing the deer. Subaru asks Holy to teach him how to light a fire the way she does it, because he wants to do something useful and he doesn't think he can hunt. She teaches him how to make sparks with an igniting stone. Holy and Kuna, the other Sudrak woman who's with them, talk about how Kuna is not good at shooting a bow, but has very good eyes. She'd spotted the deer, and Holy had killed it. Holy says that even Utakata can beat Kuna with a bow, and in response, Kuna goes at her with a knife, and Holy easily dodges. It seems like this is how the Sudrak play fight though, because nobody is particularly worried. Subaru, however, remembers that Utakata was good enough with a bow to murder him in the last loop. He thinks about how a poisoned arrow is not good for hunting animals for food, which reminds him that these are not just hunters, but also warriors. He also remembers that he doesn't know the identity of the hunter who once killed him, and once protected him from the snake witch beast. Seeing Holy kill the deer had reminded him of this, but he wonders if there's any sense in thinking of the Sudrak as dangerous to him. After all, he had been an unknown person that time in the forest, and now he's on good terms with them. Holy and Kuna keep on messing around and play fighting, and Holy says that they were born on the same day, so they're like sisters. Quietly, Rem says that she envies them for always having a partner around. Subaru says that even though he said earlier that he would wait for her to ask him questions about herself, he would leak one fact now, and he tells her that she has an older twin who cares about her so much that she can never be alone no matter where she is. He wonders if he did the right thing by telling her, but he doesn't regret it. Rem's eyes widen when she hears it, and Subaru, who's sure Ram must be thinking about her back in Lagunica, tells her that she may even be able to feel her connection to Ram using synesthesia. Rem closes her eyes and tries, but she can't feel anything. Subaru says that maybe it's hard when she can't imagine it. For a moment he worries that it might mean something has happened to Ram, but then he thinks it's more likely to be the physical and mental distance between them. Louis comforts Rem, and Subaru, as always, is creeped out by it and doesn't understand what Louis is thinking. Holy and Kuna continue to argue about how well cooked the deer should be, and the scene ends. Now there's a time skip, and it says that it's taken 4 days of travelling in the forest for them to safely reach the walled town of Goral. Looking at the walled city from a distance, Subaru says the atmosphere is quite harsh and asks if a giant will come, presumably a reference to the walls in Attack on Titan. Kuna says that all of the giants died out. Subaru wonders out loud then if the one that he knows, Old Man Rom, is the last giant. However, he thinks back to Rem having once told him that the numbers of her race were small too, and that if he thought about it, he probably hasn't met any other elf-related people other than Emilia, but just because there aren't a lot of them going around, it doesn't mean there's only one left. Normally in fantasy settings, long-lived characters have weak fertility, and he thinks this seems to be the case here too. As a note from me, technically Subaru has actually met another elf-related character because Ryuzu is also a half-elf, but that would have been after Rem said this to him. Subaru thinks about Emilia and Beatrice now, and how much his tension and mental anguish would be eased by hearing their voices. He says he also misses Frederica, Petra and Ram, but he's fine without Roswaal for now. He doesn't actually mention the mana poisoning situation here, though after this many days away from Beatrice, he is probably beginning to feel the toll. But now, as they stand outside the walls of the town, Kuna and Holy say goodbye to them. They were tasked to deliver them safely to the town, and now they have to return to the village. Subaru thinks about how much they've helped. Realising that it will now just be him, Rem and Louis in this unfamiliar place, he feels apprehensive, but Kuna gives him a package she was carrying the whole time, which Subaru had assumed was something essential for the trip. He opens it, and it's the horn of the Elgina witch beast that he killed in the Bloodlife ceremony. They tell him it's his, and it will sell for a high price. He realises that they're telling him to replace this horn with a road back home. He knows that Holy and Kuna will be going back now to join Abel's war, and Kuna tells him basically to keep protecting what's important to him, as they will be doing the same. Because now Subaru has to carry their luggage as well as carrying Rem on his back, he's forced to let Louis carry the demon beast horn, which troubles him, but it seems like she got along really well with Holy, and because of her words, she's treating it with care. The Sudrak say that Louis is full of curiosity and looks at everything. Subaru thinks of her as the omnivorous Sin Archbishop of Gluttony and remembers that no matter how she behaves, he can't trust her. And now, Subaru heads down to the gate and the chapter ends. So that's Arc 7, Chapter 15. There was some nice development between Subaru and Rem in this chapter, and Rem is definitely starting to become less annoying and stubborn now that she's beginning to trust Subaru, which is good. They made it safely to the town, and the journey was fairly uneventful, used only really for characterization, so I would say that now, if Subaru dies again, his save point will probably have moved to this new location of Gural. I think a lot of people thought they wouldn't make it here safely, and Subaru would end up returning by death to the Sudrak village and deciding he had to stay and side with Vincent, but I don't think that's what's going to happen now. What I think is the most worrying thing at this point is the time that's passed. I think we must be getting close to a week since Subaru arrived in Wallachia, and so that ticking bomb of his mana poisoning issue is likely to come into play soon. I was surprised that it wasn't mentioned in the part where he's literally missing contact with Emilia and Beatrice, but I do think that bit was there to remind us of how long he's been away from Betty, because in a chapter where talk of Ram is quite important, it wasn't really necessary to have that as well, just to be a reminder of other characters and Subaru not having forgotten about them. I think Subaru is going to need to find a solution to his mana problem very soon. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts on this chapter in the comments, and once again, please subscribe if you haven't already, because I'll be covering the next chapters as soon as we get them. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.